Okay. Funny. Let's see. I don't really know all the questions to ask, but so I guess this really, how do I get started? So I did get a Sam's number, and I think I'm waiting for something they're trying to do with that. But I've kind of gone through, I think, all the steps. But after all of that, what do I need to do?
Okay, so when you say you went through all the steps, so that means you're already registered with the Secretary of State, so you have your business completely registered. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, perfect. And you already have your DUNS number from Dun and Bradstreet?
That is correct.
And you said you just completed your SAM registration, so you're finished that stage.
I finished that stage. I need to look at it. Okay, so they did the verification of the EIN or the TIN, and then it's pushed to, there's another little acronym thing. Hold on. Let me walk over here and see what it says.
You're probably getting your cage number right now.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
One of those little acronyms.
So that means they're going through the verification process. So you're almost there and it'll be complete soon. So once you have your SAM registration, perfect, you'll be ready to do business with the federal government. Okay. However, it doesn't stop you from doing business with the local or state. So if there's some opportunities on the city level or the state level, you can do that. You just have to register with that city or state. So what I would say your next step would be is just identifying where you want to focus on. So what do you do? What is your business? What kind of services does your business provide?
Cybersecurity, mainly for supply chain and logistics. My focus is for the transportation sector. So okay. That's trucking, rail, maritime, but I'm just providing cybersecurity support. And by that, I mean training and awareness for one, and also helping them to develop their cyber resilience plans, as well as offering the supports to go in and run those plans with them so that they, I guess, like preparedness, cybersecurity preparedness training.
Okay, perfect. And it's actually huge because it's becoming more and more of a requirement for small businesses just to even have for their contracts, just in general, that they're actually adding as a requirement. So some of the things that you can look into is probably the Department of Transportation. That's going to be huge for transportation and logistics. Look at several different agencies in the DoD. Once you get your SAM registration, you will be eligible, or you'll be able to start looking at opportunities and responding to opportunities on the federal level. But right now, for more of that, you might hear me say this a lot, that low hanging fruit, you can look at opportunities in your city. And if there's not that many opportunities there, look at them in the state as well. It doesn't have to just be in your state. You can do business in any state. Just keep in mind that if you choose to do business like in another state, they may require you to have a registered agent. Texas is one of those states. I know a few years ago when I think it was Hurricane Harvey, I wanted to do some work there. We actually had to be registered in the state of Texas and have a registered agent to be able to get a contract there. North Carolina is not like that. In Alabama, we're able to do business without actually being registered in that state. So just keep that in mind if you are interested in opportunities in another state. So you will still go through the same registration process once you identify first, where's your target going to be, right? Is it going to just let me look at some opportunities in the city level or the state level? And once you identify that, then you also need to register with the state. Now, I know it sounds like a lot of registrations, but there's actually a reason that they require you to do that, because it's more for compliance and also so they can pay you. So that means you're putting your W-9 on file or whatever payee forms that they have. Obviously, they're vetting your company to make sure you are a real company, that you have your paperwork with the Secretary of State. So once you get through that city or state registration process, you're able to respond to opportunities on that level too. So, but I think one of the things to focus on is target, and also looking through some of those solicitations to make sure you have everything you need to fulfill it. Do you have the right teaming partners in place? You know, say for instance, you have a very broad range. I've worked with companies that were in transportation and logistics and may require a lot of different components that you might not necessarily do in-house. So if you look at those scope of work, you may say, hey, I need to have another company in place to do this. So I would say look through some of these opportunities just to kind of see what they're asking for. I do the same thing for my company. Once I find a solicitation I like, what we call shred. I take out the meat and potatoes out of the solicitation and say, do we actually have everything we need to fulfill it? The title sounds great. The scope sounds great. It sounds like everything we can do, but can we really do it? And do we have everything in place? So if you're just getting started, one of the things I used to always tell my clients is just kind of do a quick run through the opportunities that you may see that kind of strike your interest, and make sure you have those partners in place. Make sure you have the right licenses and certifications and so forth in place. So if it is an opportunity that comes up and you want to go after, you have those stuff available. Say for instance, there may be a certification that you need that may take 2 weeks to get, but the opportunity is due next week. Well, then that's obviously a no-go. You don't have what you need to go after it. So just kind of preparing yourself will kind of be my advice to you.
Okay. So with all of that, where is there a website? Where do I find these opportunities?
Well, what state are you in?
I'm in Florida.
Okay. So what we can do, if you Google, let me see if I can pull it up here. And we're going to do this together because you can do this with any state. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
And then you'll see all my mess up here. Yeah, I'm guilty of having 101 tabs up.
I do too. Don't feel bad.
I like to just be where I left off.
Right, that part. Mm-hmm.
So, and then we did have someone else join. I'm sorry. Is she still there? Hopefully she's still there.
No, she may have dropped off for a second.
Oh.
Maybe technical stuff.
Okay. Well, when she comes back on, I'll make sure I acknowledge her. Okay, so let me go to Google.
You're at Google.
Okay. I am. Okay, so opportunities for doing business in the state of opportunities in Florida. Okay, so let's see, where would Florida current bid opportunities? So some of the key words that I look for just in general when I'm doing my search in different states: contract opportunities, solicitations in the state of, contracts or awards in the state of. So some of those are key words that's going to generate your state site. Now, of course, you're going to have some ads that come up initially, people who sell their services. But then if you go down, you can see where it says current bid opportunities and vendor resources.
Mm-hmm.
If you click on that, it looks like this is state of Florida's. Yeah, this looks like this is straight from the state of Florida. So this is where you will find your opportunities. So you guys go through the Department of Management Services. And just looking now, you see all the current bid opportunities. And you guys use the vendor bid system. So this is where you would register through the vendor bid system. So yeah, so that's where you would go to find your state opportunities.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Got it.
All right, so I hope that answered your questions. I feel bad. I probably should acknowledge, she's probably like, oh, she's not paying attention to me. So did you have any?
She'll probably be back, probably having issues.
Yeah, so did you have any other questions in regards to finding opportunities? Like I said, this is where you would go, and you would do that for any state that you want to do business with, and you would also do that for any city. So what city are you in?
I'm in Tampa.
Okay, so for the city of Tampa, you would do the same thing. Solicitations or bids in the city of, so we'll do that.
they're hanging out jobs.
Yeah, I know. Like, we don't want a job. That's not what we're in.
Somebody gave them a 1.
You said what now?
They gave the Tampa Purchasing Department a rating of 1.
Oh, wow.
Oh boy. Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
let's see, bid opportunities in Hillsborough County.
That would be, yeah.
Okay, so that's another website. If you want to take note of that, that's another website you can register for. You also have, let's see, Purchasing Department, City of Tampa, Florida. Hi, Reinhard, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Glad you can join us today.
I'm doing pretty good myself.
Okay, and so, yeah, so then you also have the other website here, which is, let's see. Yeah, or not, let's see, Purchasing Department, City of Tampa, Florida. There you go. Okay, so same thing with here. You just find where you can register with the city. Like I said, they do that for compliance reasons. And then you should be good to go once you find an opportunity that you'll actually be eligible to respond to it on that level as well. Okay.
Cool.
So yeah, Reinhard, how are you? And we kind of got started. We're just gonna, if you have questions as you roll in, just feel free to ask me anything that maybe you've been trying to get the answers to, been searching the internet and just haven't really quite found the answers of what you're looking for. It could be just getting started, or if there's an opportunity or contract management, you know, you name it. So did you have any particular question for me today? I don't think you heard me. Reinhard?
And he's on mute.
Oh, yeah.
No.
So my question going through the Jumpstart course, is there a time where, because I was looking into the GS schedule, which is the vehicle that I guess that helps the government to come back and either select the contractors that they worked prior with, right? So
similar to that, yeah.
what helps a contractor, or what gives a contractor a higher chance for the government to reselect them when they are in the GS schedule?
Okay, so just to kind of go over the GSA schedule, just to give you an overview of what it is a contracting vehicle, and there's several contracting vehicles out there. GSA is the most common and most well-known GSA schedule. And so essentially it is a catalog. It's a digital catalog in a sense. Once you get on that catalog, once you get on the GSA schedule, you have your set pricing. It's just, if the government wants to find landscaping services, they can search landscaping services and they can get to that particular GSA schedule. And they already see vetted companies that they know that have been in business for over 2 years, and they have their set price. So they know exactly what they're getting. And they don't have to go through that negotiation phase that they do in the procurement process. So once you're on it, because it is a lengthy process to get on the GSA schedule. So once you're on it, it's good. But just like any other certification or contract vehicle, you still have to market your company. So there were times when I was in my consulting role where I still had to market in marketing material, still go to networking events and speak with, whether it's the decision maker, procurement officer, representative of the GSA, or any agency that recognizes the GSA or does business with GSA, and let them know, hey, we're on the GSA schedule. We have this particular contract and we have this particular schedule, and this is what you do. So you still have to market just like you would market outside of it. So hi, Gina, how are you? So just because you're on it, don't think that the government, all of a sudden, they're just going to start buying because you're on it, because there's still thousands and thousands of companies that are on GSA Schedule. But what it does, very similar to certifications, is it gives you an advantage. You have now eliminated a lot of companies that either didn't qualify for the GSA Schedule, or who are not on it. So that's what I would say. What sets you apart is still continuing to market it, but now it gives you that extra leverage to say, hey, I'm on it. And as a contracting officer, it's enticing to them. Again, when you get to the third and fourth quarter of the government fiscal year, their buying process changes. They need to speed up the buying process. So they typically like to use contracting vehicles, set-asides, and so forth. So that would be my advice, is to continue to market your company.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Hey, what's going on, Kyle?
Doing well, sir. Thank you for asking.
No problem, no problem.
Glad you could make it.
Yes,
And
sir.
so what I'm gonna do, Gina, how are you today? What I'm gonna do, as people start rolling in, we'll just kind of let everyone answer their question. And if anybody else has an additional question, I'm gonna circle back around. Make sure, like, Dr. Mo, if you have another question, Reinhardt, if you have another question, we wanna make sure that you can still get those in. So, but Gina, how are you? Did you have a question for us today?
I'm not sure where you all are. Dr. Mo invited me, so I popped in because I'm pretty much, looking to engage in this space.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I kind of like want to sit back and see, assess kind of like what's going on before I throw my questions out. Because I don't want to just throw out, random questions and it's not really what your topic is about. Because I do have questions.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So just feel free to ask any questions that you want to ask. So just let you give you an overview. This is a complete open forum. If there's any questions, even if you just want to get started and you want to know the first step into government contracting, or you've already won contracts and you want to know how to be more consistent, or you're trying to find opportunities, you name it, you can just feel free to ask any questions that maybe you have stumbled upon, over your search in government, contracting just in general. Just to kind of give you an idea who I am. I know Dr. Mo, I've spoken with her before. Reinhardt, I've spoken with him before. But if you're not familiar with us, just to give you a little background on who I am the founder, CEO of ESS Group. We do provide training and development services, as well as a variety of other services directly to the government. Prior to becoming a government contractor myself, I was a consultant for many years. And I had an excellent mentor when I first got into here. So I've seen government contracting on so many different facets. I've seen it through the eyes of my mentors, as well as through my own experiences and through the various companies that I have worked with and helped them succeed and grow. And so with that, not only do we provide the services to the government now, we're always looking for strategic partnerships, as well as, since I transitioned out of consulting, we still like to give the information that we have access to those who want to get started and maybe eventually partner with us down the line through mentorships. And we do have self-paced online courses as well, if you feel like you're more at that stage. So yeah. So that's to give you a little background. So please feel free to ask me. There's what they always say, there's no dumb question. There's no particular format. It's really open forum in this
Okay,
space.
great. So first question. So I've heard a lot about, I see Dr. Mo smiling because I'm gonna have a bunch of questions.
Okay.
So my first question, I'm actually waiting for my SAM's information to complete the process. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at building business credit. So I've been in a couple of sessions on Clubhouse, and I really don't understand when they say you should have a business phone. Because my question with that is, having a business phone number, does that mean that I need to go out and purchase something separate like maybe through Verizon or Comcast or something called Ring Central? Or can I use my home line, my landline at home as my business number?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm not sure if that's, and I'm not sure who gave you that advice, and it's not necessarily wrong. Yes, you will be asked, what is your business number? Oftentimes, most people just put their cell phone still. You don't necessarily need to go out and purchase another phone unless your business has grown to that capacity where you can't receive phones, or where you absolutely need to separate your personal line from your business line. But my advice, yeah, definitely to you, is don't necessarily go out there and spend extra money on another phone line or another phone. You can very well operate from your cell phone, or if you have a house line already, operate from that. When the government, when they're asking for your business phone or contact information, they just want to know the best way to contact you. So I still, like, when it comes to responding to solicitations, I still put my cell phone, because I want to be contacted directly. I don't want anybody else to be contacted in regards to the solicitation. So if it's a question they have, or they're ready to give me an award, I want them to contact me directly on my cell phone. If it's a business that I'm trying to build a partnership with, I want them to have access to me on my cell phone. So I would have to say it's completely your preference if you want to have a separate business line, but it's not a necessary thing to actually do business.
Right. Okay. Because that just clarifies information for me, because it was more so trying to establish business credit, and they said, oh, that's kind of frowned upon if you're trying to establish business credit. Now, my business is a cybersecurity consulting agency. I'm not sure how much credit I need to establish, because at the end of the day, I'm literally just, myself or individuals are going in and providing a service. We're not purchasing equipment or anything of that nature. So I just wanted to get a little bit more clarity, because I would think to be able to have access to my cell phone, where that's something that I carry all the time on me, where if the phone rings, I can, have access, as opposed to having a landline or something of that nature where I don't actually have access to it.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I use my cell phone, unless there's something that needs to be directed to assistant. Like if there's more of like contract management, or there's certain tasks that I know they don't necessarily need to come directly to me, I could give it to, an assistant and give them their number for that. But when it comes to dealing directly with the government, I would like to that's just me personally. It doesn't have to be that way, but I like to use my personal line so they can get a hold of me directly. But again, that goes down to personal preference, how your business is set up, but it's not mandatory to have separate lines. And as far as business credit, yes, business credit is good when you're looking to get loans and things of that sort for your company to build up capital. Again, that's not one of the things that are necessary for government contracting per se. There's so many ways that you can get funding for contracts. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to get a loan for capital. They do have factoring, and they have other creative ways to get capital and operating capital for contracts. So it's good to build up business credit, but again, that's not something that you have to focus on and build just to get a contract. So I just wanted to clarify that as well.
Great, thanks for the clarity on that. And so then the other question with the government contracting. So there's the CMMC. Has someone already brought that up?
No, no one has brought that up. Yes, that is fairly new, the CMMC. Yes.
Okay,
it's becoming more mandatory now.
Yeah, so the CMMC is the Cybersecurity Maturity Model certification that's basically unified standards for implementing cybersecurity. These standards were developed by DoD to basically protect defense contractors from cyber attacks. And so I want to know, what is your stance on that? Because it basically applies to all DoD contractors, all suppliers in all tiers along the supply chain, small business, commercial, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to know, you know, as a small business owner conducting business with the government, what is your stance on that? And I know for myself right now, I'm working on registering myself as a registered practitioner. Right now, I just received my email where they're looking for me to go out and provide them my background check.
Okay.
And so I just want to know, what are small businesses actually doing to comply with this requirement now to conduct business with the government?
Well, I mean, we can have our stances, but at the end of the day, that's actually something that's becoming more mandatory now. And I have to see if it's something that is full blown rolled out, because I know last year there was some contracts and some solicitations that just required you to at least have the application in, but it didn't require you to actually have the CMMC certification, just that you're in the process of doing it. But it's going to be sometime this fiscal year, and I can actually follow up with you about it, because I don't want to tell you, false dates or anything of that sort, but I can follow up and find out when they're going to make that mandatory just in general to go after certain cybersecurity contracts. So whether we agree with it, because I didn't completely agree with it at first, I do understand why they rolled it out. It's for compliance. And a lot of the times when they roll out certifications like that, it's for compliance reasons, but also weans out, because if you ever look at the requirements for that CMMC, it's very robust. It's a lot of information, and you're probably going to need to hire someone. And I can tell you, we already looked into it for the 8A stars, because it was one of those that said, hey, as long as you apply for it, you can still respond to the 8A stars. And it was at a minimum of I think it was $12,000 to hire someone to do that CMMC certification, or try to figure that very complicated process out yourself. So I also look at it as a way of weaning out certain contractors, especially small businesses. We have a lot of set asides. We have a lot of advantages as a small business, but then you have these large businesses like, hey, what about me? And I sometimes feel like those are ways to wean out small businesses to not give us access to certain things. Average small business is not going to have $12,000, $20,000 just to do a certification. The average small business doesn't necessarily have the resources to figure out all those complicated processes to get that CMMC. But it's possible, but it does make things a little bit more difficult. But yet at the same time, small businesses have access to a lot of set-asides and advantages and certifications and things like that large businesses don't. So that would be more of my opinion. I feel like sometimes it's a way of, kind of weaning certain people out and giving advantage to certain crowds, but that will be my personal opinion about it. But just in general, it is hindsight a compliance certification, and very well with everything that's going on, I can understand why they would put something like that, in place, especially something as important as cybersecurity. So
right. Right, exactly. And so that's why I'm in that space, right? Because I'm in that space to actually come out there and help those small business owners and those entities that are conducting business with the government to help them to acquire that certification, because the first level is cyber hygiene, right? And so those are just basic security practices that we all should be practicing. So there are 5 different levels, and that first level is cyber hygiene. So I would love to be able to, speak with you after, this session and just connect with you, because I was on Clubhouse and I brought it up, and I felt like I was, kind of like a little bit under attack. But it was like more so an awareness, because, if this is a tactic for the government to weed out certain businesses, then I feel like the service that myself and Dr. Mo and others will provide will help these small business owners to be competitive in this new initiative that they're embarking upon, right? And so that's why I'm bringing this up right now, because that other session that I was in, it was like, oh, well, we don't really know about it, but it was, you know, it just wasn't thought about. And it's like, we need to think about it, right? We need to think about it, because if you are a small business owner, you will be left behind. Because this is, you know, this is something that's happening. I mean, I'm in the process of obtaining my registered practitioner, right? This piece, so that I can actually work with small businesses or any size entity to get them prepared for this CMMC. And my background, I conduct security assessments anyway, so it makes it a lot easier for me, because I'm like, oh, 130 controls, whatever, that's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I'm sorry. So anyway,
I share the same sentiments on that. As far as it's, you know, that was my initial thought. Even when I spoke with my business partner, I'm like, man, they're really trying to, you know, wean some people out here. So, but yeah, and then what I want to do, if you don't mind, I don't know who user iPhone is. I don't have a name on there, but I did want to make sure I get to everybody. And what I just kind of setting the flow is that I'm gonna allow everyone to ask one question. We're just gonna kind of keep going around the circle. That way I make sure I get everyone within the hour. So if you don't mind, I'm not sure your name, but we have it as user's iPhone. Did you have a particular question for me? I know that we've been kind of speaking in the chat and we have you on mute. Oh, Anita. Okay. Hey, Anita. Okay, so any question that you have in particular, let's see, you put, do you provide support for proposal writing? Yes, we do provide support for proposal writing. And trust me, I remember those days of having a crying baby. My children are now 8 and, well, she's not 8 yet, 7 and 10, but they'll soon be 11 and 8. But yeah, I remember those days. So. But yes, we do provide proposal writing services. And as a matter of fact, through our mentorship program, we actually help and guide you through that process. So I have a mentee that I'm working with right now. One of the things about the mentorship program is it's not like a coaching program where you have to go through just steps of learning. We really just kind of dig in where you're at and really where you need help on. And so in her particular situation, it was finding the right opportunity and how do I respond? So when we had our initial meeting, we found a really good opportunity for her and we walked her through the whole proposal process, and it was just submitted on Thursday. So it's everything from providing templates where needed, how to outline a proposal. So you would know after reading a solicitation, how do you even structure this proposal? How to dig and find the information to write a winning proposal, because at the end of the day, you are selling your company. So you want to find your advantages, looking up the previous contract holder, what is the previous award amount, look up some information on the actual agency, you know. So any research that you can do to write a compelling proposal. So we do walk you through those steps, and we can do that through mentorship, the mentorship program. So, okay. So, all right, Dr. Mo, I'm going to circle back around to you because I know you said you have a question.
I do. Being that I'm new to this whole process, would it be easier or would you advise of maybe going in as a sub?
Subcontracting is a great way, and you would hear this, it's almost kind of coined now as a phrase, the fast track into government contracting is through subcontracting. When I was in abatement services prior to, I kind of fell into that because a lot of my clients were in construction. That's a whole nother story, but a lot of that was all subcontract work. And the reason why I would advise it, you can go 2 ways. You can go in as a prime if you do have the resources. Use that method I told you earlier about finding opportunities and making sure that you have everything in place to go after that. But also, if you're just getting started, it gives you access to larger opportunities. So say, for instance, you don't necessarily have a lot of capital really right now to, you know, even win a multi-million-dollar contract. Doesn't mean you can't be a part of a multi-million-dollar contract. It gives you access to more opportunities, or maybe some that you can find that's great as a prime. But keep in mind that now, not only are you providing the services that's your sweet spot, which is cybersecurity, but now you have to understand contract management. You have to understand how to communicate with project management, just in general, how to communicate with the contracting officer, managing your subcontractors, your team, all those other deliverables that come with the contract outside of what you like to do, which is cybersecurity, right? Or any other service that you offer. So there's a different level of responsibility as a prime. So when you're just getting started, even though I'm like, hey, there's a great opportunity to be a prime, yes, do it. But if you have opportunities as a subcontractor, go in as a sub, focus on what you do. They want you just to go in there to say, hey, I just need you or maybe 3 other people to come in for this cybersecurity piece. Now you can focus on what you're doing, and you're building up your past performance in government contracting at the same time. So you're still getting that experience. You can still use that portion of the scope of work as your past performance in government contracting, and you're not taking on that complete responsibility of the entire contract and managing everything. So yeah, it can essentially be the fast track in if you have relationships with other companies already, instead of trying to build that relationship with the contracting officer, go through that whole proposal process and learning curve and how to write it. That relationship alone with a prime contractor can be really easy, because now you can focus on just giving them a quote and giving them the information they need to write the proposal, opposed to being, again, responsible for the entire thing. So yeah, it is it's highly suggested. It's not the only way, but it is highly suggested.
Okay, and I did put in the chat, but how do I find the primes for that? Is it the same method that you showed me earlier?
Oh, so finding the prime contractors. So there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. You can do that beta.sam.gov, where you find the contract opportunities. You can, unfortunately, they don't post it as much as they used to. It used to be FBO, Fed Biz Ops, right? Then they switched it to beta.sam.gov. And it's up to the contracting officer to do this, but if you find an opportunity, and just FYI, you have to be logged in to have access to interested vendors. You can't just go on the website, you have to actually log in. You find an opportunity, you can actually view whatever interested parties who are interested in that particular opportunity. So I used to find primes a lot that way. So say, for instance, you're in construction, and at the time I was in abatement services. So I knew that I would want to have relationships with, general contractors, because they're going to be the ones that need the abatement services. So I may find construction opportunities, reach out to those interested vendors, because I know that, hey, they're interested in the same opportunity that I would be interested in. Do my research on them and reach out to them and say, hey, I provide abatement services and so forth. So you take that same concept in what you're doing.
Okay.
GWACs, government-wide acquisition contracts. They are contracting vehicles, very similar to they are like the GSA schedule, but the GSA schedule, like I said, is the most well-known. You can actually search government GWACs, GWACS, and you can see the government-wide acquisition contracts out there. Again, each one is different, so you kind of have to, that's where that you got to search through, because you have NITAC, you have OASIS, you have GSA, they all have their own websites. But when you get on those websites, you can look for awarded, awardees or contract holders. I always like to just use that kind of search toggle and put it in there, and you can find primes that way as well.
Thank you.
That's just a couple different ways, okay? And Reinhardt, I'm gonna switch back.
So I was actually getting ready to ask a question. So once we find these contract holders, we can directly, contact them and say, hey, we would like to be subcontractors of whatever contract that you're holding at that particular time.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Reinhard, I know that we met at BizBuzz, and I kind of tapped onto this at BizBuzz about having that capability statement. And I put up that example of what a capability statement looks like. It's very important to get one of those together, because that will be essential when you are marketing to primes and even to contracting officers. It is that one-page business resume that basically lays out, you know, what your company does, what your differentiators are from other contractors. You know, company overview. So if a company receives my capability statement, they will know automatically what I do and where I can fit with their company. Now, having that available when you reach out to them is great, because you always want to put that on as an attachment. So it has your contact information, it has your website, whatever information that they should need to get from your company should be on that capability statement. But also, one of the advice I like to give people is, if you're interested in reaching out to a prime, everything is about win-win. It's about relationship building. So you don't want to just come in and say, hey, can I be a sub, and give an overview of your company. They probably get 100 emails like that. And be honest with you, there's times I've gotten emails like that. And it's like, well, where do you fit? All the things that I'm doing right now, where does this company fit? It's great to know that, and I'm just going to use you as an example, Dr. Mo. Okay, it's great to know that there's a cybersecurity, you know, that you do cybersecurity, but I might not be thinking about cybersecurity right now, you know, or I may already have someone who does that. So I may dismiss it easier, opposed to if you reached out to me with a point and say, hey, I realized that you were on the interested vendors for this particular opportunity. I actually provide cybersecurity services, and in this scope of work, I can provide this. Do you already have a company that has XYZ qualifications? You know, give them some information, a reason why you're reaching out to them, an opportunity. It doesn't necessarily have to be an opportunity that you can go after together right then and there, but it gives them an idea of, they know what they're talking about, and I can see how they can fit. Yeah, let me give them a call, because there might be another opportunity just like that we can actually work on. So I always like to say, have a purpose when you reach out. Doesn't necessarily have to be an opportunity, but even finding a win-win. Look at their website and see maybe some areas where you can fit in their services. They may not be thinking about that. Again, abatement. If I want to reach out to a construction contractor, I would be very specific on, do you have abatement services, or do you have a pool of abatement contractors, and pull out my differentiators in that email when I reach out to them, that I know sets me apart from other abatement companies. So that would just be, you know, my advice on how to reach out to them. So.
Okay. So I know I'm very new at this, so these questions might sound like they're not important, but
oh no, never.
when you are when you are a prime contractor, you can go for any contract that you want and then subcontract it to companies in that specific industry, correct?
Technically, yes. Is it highly advised to do that? No. So yes, technically, and I use this example a lot because this is a contract that, or this is an RFP that I'm responding to, which is video production. My company is training and development, and we provide different administrative services. However, we are responding to a video production contract. It's actually labeled video production services, and we are subcontracting the video production services out to another company. Now, in that situation, we are still performing majority of that contract, meaning even though the contract's video production services, we are still performing the project management. We are still responsible for getting the building. We're still responsible for the deliverables. So we still have about 60% of that contract goes to ESS and what we are responsible for. The only thing that we're subcontracting out is the actual video production services, the person who has the equipment, the expertise in that area, because we don't have it. So in situations like that, yes, technically you can go after any contract, right? If I didn't have a strategy in place or a really good, and I've known this subcontractor for, it had been at least 3 or 4 years. He's been doing different services for my clients in the past. So we've already had an established relationship. So I know his work ethic. I know that we kind of speak the same language when it comes to getting things done. So I'm okay with subcontracting that workout, even though I'm not familiar with it. Now, the reason why I say you don't want to make that a habit is because you do have companies that say, hey, I don't know anything about IT. I'm just going to sub it out to somebody, subcontract that out. But the problem that they face is that if you don't understand the work, how are you going to be able to manage something you don't understand? If I don't understand IT, they can just send me any old, for the lack of better words, crap, or perform very poorly. And if I don't have the understanding or knowledge of that field, I'm responsible for that entire contract as a prime contractor. I'm responsible for the performance of that contract. And so if I can't manage the people underneath me, because they can literally tell me anything they want and I wouldn't know what's right or wrong, then you have a problem. That jeopardizes your company. And so, and it can jeopardize your reputation. And so I don't encourage it unless you have a situation where you know you can have part of the contract that you can perform and you have a really good relationship with that subcontractor. If you're going to just kind of go after opportunities that aren't really in your field.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, people do it all the time. And trust me, I've seen a lot of companies get burned that way. A lot of companies get burned. You have to be able to manage the contract. You can do it. We do it. I've seen a lot of companies do it. They may not be in janitorial services, but they will take a janitorial contract. There was a Department of Transportation contract that we responded to, and the incumbent, which by the way is the previous contract holder, was in finance. They weren't even in training and development. They don't offer training and development services, but they had a training and development contract and they were a finance firm. So it's possible you can do it, but can you manage it? So that's the most important thing. So yeah. Gina, did you have another question for me? And we are, just kind of FYI, we're kind of approaching the end. So we have about 2 more minutes and then we might, 2 or 3 more minutes. And then we might have to start shutting down. And so just kind of throwing that out there. So Miss Gina, did you have another question? I don't think she heard me.
Yeah, don't forget you all are on mute. So you have to
Oh,
unmute
yeah.
yourself.
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm listening. I don't, want to take up everybody's time, but I'm listening. And thank you for this valuable information.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this is open forum. You're not taking up anybody's time. If anything, we appreciate you being here on Saturday. It lets us know that everyone is really serious about growing their business when you can take out some time on your weekend to say, hey, I'm ready to figure out how to grow my business.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what you've done when you responded to me about the whole fiasco about the phone, it was like, oh, I could just continue to move forward. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate Dr. Mo for pinging me in, because I was about to go down that rabbit hole. So I thank you.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, no problem. That's what we're here for. So yeah, anything. And then Anita, I know that you're with the little one. Didn't know if you had another question before we start wrapping things up. And she's through chat, so. All right, well, if we don't have any other questions right now, in particular, so when we posted the flyer, we said, hey, if we get the first 5 registered people, which we know, Kyle, do you know who they are? Do you have the list of names right there? If not, we'll reach out to you. I know we know who the first 5 are. There's a special gift. Reinhardt, I'm gonna have to get with you because you already have access to this, but we're gonna have to give you something else, okay? So something different. But for those who were the first 5, you get 15%, which we will send you a discount code, which is 15% off of any of our courses, as well as the mentorship program. So if there's any questions that you didn't have answered today, just we ran out of time or you just didn't think about it, you still have access to the mentorship program, and we'll provide 15% discount off of that cost for that. And just to kind of give you guys just an overview of the mentorship program again, it's very direct in how we run that program. Again, we go through the initial meeting, find out what you're looking for. And just like how we do the Q&A sessions today is how do we get started? You have a question, let's go ahead and solve the problem. We don't have to go through a lengthy learning curve. We're just going to go straight to solving your problems and ultimately getting you closer to winning contracts and reaching your goals in government contracting. So we want to make this a fast track for you, as well as learn a lot of information so you can scale and grow your businesses. So yes, so anybody who was the first 5, Reinhard, with the exception of you, because I'm going to have to give you something different, will get the promo code emailed to them, which is a 15% discount. And so Kyle, did you have anything to say to kind of close it out? Because we're about 4 more minutes.
Right. Yeah, and I do have those 5, and ironically, Reinhardt was one of those top 5. So
yes,
yeah,
Reinhardt, that's why I kept mentioning his name.
Hey.
Yeah, he was quick with this. He's got like trigger fingers. It's like bam, like Twitter fingers. You know, it's, very quick with it. But so I guess let me briefly introduce myself. Everybody, I'm Kyle Jones, and I run the training and development portion of ESS. Also work in the head of operations for ESS as well. So you'll be hopefully becoming very familiar with both Danielle and I as we all work together to help you win more contracts and get in better position to grow your companies. So I will, bring it to a close here. First of all, I do appreciate you all, like Danielle said. It's amazing to see people show up on a Saturday. That means to me,
last minute,
right? Like, because we hadn't planned this weeks out. This was something that was like, listen, we need to give some people, give the people something, because I know that they need it. And for us, it's never about money. It's always about finding a way to help people reach the next level. Because at some point, somebody helped us, and we ought to be able to give that back, right? And so we want to be able to continue to do that, and in whatever facet that we can. And giving this information for us means a lot, because you can obviously hear the passion in Danielle's voice. Now, I'm going to ask you a question real quick. Do you feel like this was absolutely valuable for you today? Got a thumbs up from Dr. Mo.
Absolutely.
Yay.
She's about to hop to another call.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this was definitely helpful.
Good deal. Gina says indeed. Reinhardt says definitely it's helpful. And we know Anita's over there with the couple of people, the Munchkin crew, right, as I call them, right? So we know that value is incredible. Danielle's a very wise person. She's been through the gambit. This isn't somebody who speaks from theoretical things. Danielle speaks from experience. I get to witness it firsthand, the amount of experience she brings to the table and her strategy. Sometimes she doesn't even see it. I'm like, yo, you've got like million and $1 billion strategies that you come up with. And I'm like, how do you do that? She's very great at what she does. So with that being said, we want to help you and help ensure that you reach the next level. Dr. Mo, you were talking about finding the right contracts, knowing where to go, what to do next, right? Those step-by-step things. Reinhard, same thing. It's like, where do I go? Where are the primes? Where are the subs? How do I do this, right? That's the struggle, right? Anita was asking for proposal help. How do I put this stuff together? And the greatest thing that you have right now, within this, with Danielle and ESS Group, is that we've done the groundwork for you. We've taken the struggle out, so it's giving you an opportunity to take the shortcut, right? I've always asked the question, would you rather read a map or ride with somebody who knows the way, right? Most people say, I'd rather ride with somebody because they know the shortcuts. They can hey, don't go down that street because that's where they start throwing snow cones at your car. They'll mess your paint up. Don't ride down there. They got messed up potholes. Go over to this restaurant, right? They find all these great things to tell you that you wouldn't know, right? And so that's ultimately how we've set up our program. The on-demand course, which I suggest, it sounds like Dr. Mo and Reinhardt and Anita, you all are like prime for those as well, is self-paced. And it gives you a step-by-step guide on what to do as you are building out your company, putting those processes in place to in that kind of startup into growth phase. And then there's the mentorship where you really get that directed conversation and poignant answers, straightforward answers, which you all have been seeking for. So with that being said, listen, I am going to implore you to get on the schedule. Now we only have, if I'm not mistaken, Danielle, I think we only have 2 mentorship spots open right now. So we have to cap the mentorship because if we go with too many people, then the amount of attention declines. And so in order to give you the very best, we only keep it at a certain amount of individuals for that mentorship program. So, when you open up, and I'm telling you, it goes quick. While we have the 2 spots open, get involved with the mentorship program ASAP. You can register, and that way we can get you on the schedule for next week and get you moving in the right direction. And then there's also the courses, as we mentioned. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. So what you'll do is go to ESSacademy.net, right? ESSacademy.net. And you are going to register, just hit either mentorship or courses. And the courses, go to the beginner course, register for that on demand. And then again, you can take one of those top 2 spots, last 2 spots, for the mentorship, and just hit mentorship and sign up for one of the mentorship levels. There's 8 hours, 12 hours, and 20 hours, if I'm not mistaken. So,
and I just want to say, and I know we're about to leave, we did have a sale for Black History Month, so that will end March. So just FYI, that is actually scheduled to come off March 1st. So
Monday.
Yeah.
So that sale ends Monday. Well, not sale, that discount ends Monday. So I would implore you again to jump on, get in with the mentorship, because once those 2 spots are gone, we're going to close it down. And we won't open it up until that individual cohort finishes their hours. And they have 20 hours. Well, I mean, I think we can all do the math, right? So
yeah, this is great. And it was great speaking with you again, Dr. Mo. Reinhardt, always a pleasure, always a pleasure. And Anita, thank you for being able to join. And, I'm just glad everybody was able to get some benefit out of this. And I look forward to speaking with everyone in the near future and staying in contact. Other than that, y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have fun. It's nice, at least in Atlanta, it's nice. I don't know how it is everywhere else, but it's beautiful here in Atlanta today. So enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thank you. Zeta
Bye.
Phi Beta.
Thank you. Bye.
All day, every day.
I see the blue.
Thank you. Bye.
I like you.
All right, bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.